Thanks for staying with us. So, moving on to other topics. Recently, the management of the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, LUTH, were accused of allegedly ejecting nursing mothers whose newborns were being treated in the facility from their wards. In a video that went viral, the mothers could be seen camping on the bare ground in the hospital's walkway. Now, joining us on the show is the Deputy Chairman, Medical Advisory Committee, Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Dr. Yewande Oshodi. Good morning, madam. Are you there?
Morning. Good morning. I'm here.
Yes.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you on the show. So, about a couple of weeks ago, we took this story, I think, because a journalist had initially come up with that story saying that the mothers who had newborn babies where they didn't have water. I think that was the initial complaint, that there was absolutely no water. And we called somebody to speak on that. And okay, that was a different. That was UI. Okay, I do apologize for that. So, but the story concerning LUTH, that mothers are having to camp on the hallways, that story is not going down well with many Nigerians. Could you tell us exactly the situation at the hospital at this time?
All right. Thank you very much. And first of all, I want to thank your producer and the team for choosing to focus on this with the intention of getting clarity on what exactly is going on. Very quickly, I just want to let us know that the Lagos University Teaching Hospital caters for adults, children, and babies. And in the course of looking after children, we have at least 4 different locations where children can be cared for in that hospital. Some children are brought to the accident and emergency. Some that are older are admitted on the D2, D3 ward. That's where we admit those older children. Then newborn babies that are born to mothers who did their antenatal in LUTH are, oftentimes either roomed with their mothers on C block, or they're taken to the NNU, that's the neonatal unit, which is separate from C block. Then we have this particular ward, around which this issue raised, which is Ward D1. That is where we cater for newly born babies, oftentimes premature, or babies that require surgeries made after birth, small babies less than 1 month old, and they are admitted on D1. Now, the incident around the moms and the babies in D1 was what was alluded to in that unfortunate video. Now, remember that the babies are our primary patients, and these babies are oftentimes breastfeeding. So because of that, even though it's the babies we admit, from time immemorial, it's not a new thing, there is a room where we have mothers that are breastfeeding and they bring their children, they can stay. The moms do not stay on the wards with these young babies, simply because the babies are vulnerable to infection and things like that. I hope are you following me?
Very clearly.
Yes. So these moms, because we know, and many times mothers are coming from far distances. Remember what I said, our patients are primarily these babies, these young babies. But we recognize that we need the moms not too far at times. And some of them struggle with going back and forth from home. Some of them go back and forth from home. But then we have this facility where we allow the moms to stay. And in the last 1 month, I must, let me quickly remind you that Lagos University Teaching Hospital is a center where you have specialists from all fields. And our neonatologists are the best in this country. We do not even have enough in the country. So anyone that has a preterm baby, a small baby, needs the expertise, comes to LUTH. And we regularly are taking care of babies in and out of incubators, and they're getting discharged regularly. And recently we had the World Prematurity Day. We've delivered quadruplets, quintuplets, and they've gone home. And it is with this kind of arena, moms are nearby, they're breastfeeding their babies, and the care is given. So why did this issue of being evacuated, why did it come up? What happened was about 4 weeks ago, during the routine accreditation is what we do to make sure that the specialties are up to standard. So that happens several times in the course of the year. During the accreditation of pediatrics, preparing for it, the head of department and the head of the neonatal unit, that's the unit where these small babies are kept, took us around as management. I was part of that walk around that, this place where the moms stay, we need more beds. The beds are not enough. Incidentally, in that same location, there's a small section that was being used for a creche. Now, the backdrop to this is that in the hospital, we already have 2 big creches existing. So we decided with the head of department that this creche, it's not necessary here. Let's take it out so that we can create more beds for the moms. And this is what makes this story very upsetting, because the intention was to create more spaces for moms with the creche area.
Right.
So that happened about 4 weeks ago. That decision was made. At the World Prematurity Day event about 2 weeks ago, the head of neonatal unit was able to also facilitate some donations from well-meaning Nigerians for renovation of this mom section.
Okay.
So we do think about moms and babies. So with that fund, we were ready to go. That, okay, we can now evacuate this creche and renovate this place, create more beds for moms.
Okay.
So instruction was given, please, Dr. So-and-so, you oversee this section, this creche and this mom's area. Kindly ask your people to evacuate the creche so that the renovation can commence.
Okay.
That morning, incidentally, myself and the CMAC, who happens to be next to the CMG, we took a walk around and we saw the evacuation going on, and we just literally walked past. Okay, that's going on, that's good, and went on to other things, only to get a call from the head of department that some moms say that they have been told that they are going to leave that section. And the CMAC immediately said, no, that's not the instruction. The instruction is that it's the creche that should be evacuated. We were barely a minute walk away from the place, and we walked back immediately. And we saw what was going on ourselves and called the person in charge and said, please, the moms are not part of the evacuation that should be done. It's the creche that we're referring to. And believe me, this was all within 10 minutes. This was all within 10 minutes. And to also let you see what transpired. By the time we got back to the office, we got a letter when we got back there saying, we're parents, we're being evacuated. And he just documented on it that, this has been sorted already, only for us to receive calls that a video had been made. So what we are hearing is that video, supposed video showing this location was made within 10 minutes after a complaint was made and it was being resolved, and was resolved all within 10 minutes.
Right.
No mom, underline, no mom or baby has ever been assigned to sleep on a corridor in the Lagos University Children. The people that were in that video are relatives of patients that come from far and at times don't want to go back home, and they sit on the corridor. They do all sorts of things on that corridor. And maybe we've permitted them because we understand that, we know what traffic is like. People sit there, they place their hair there, they are eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner there.
Right.
One relation is an admission. You have grandma, you have grandpa, you have brother, uncle, sister, cousin coming to visit. We understand what our culture is like. So what we have is really a distortion of the facts. Okay. A misrepresentation of the facts.
Okay, let me get a few more questions if we
yes.
LUTH is a very, very large and usually well-patronized hospital because a lot of people believe that's where we find the best of doctors. Is LUTH in any way overwhelmed, or are they, lacking any facility or, equipment in any way that you'd like to share with us?
Overwhelmed in what manner? What do you mean?
It's a large crowd every time. Bed spaces. Bed spaces. Are you overwhelmed, handling patients? Do you lack certain facility, beds, anything at all that you might want to share?
Well, I wouldn't use the word overwhelmed, but I would say that we serve a lot of people, and there's always a demand for the services. And we keep trying our best to expand to meet the services. Remember, we happen to be in a state that has millions of people, and we're just one of 2 teaching hospitals serving the population of this state. And when you think about that, look at it in the context of Nigeria as a whole. Definitely we could do with more, but we're doing our best with what we have.
Dr. Oshodi, from what you had just explained, it seems that there's a problem with communication.
Okay, can you speak up a bit? I'm struggling to hear you.
Okay, from what you've just explained, you've taken us through what happened on this particular day, and there seems to be a serious problem with communication. So when the hospital decides to communicate with patients, what method do you use? Do you have newsletters sent out ahead of time to patients and the mothers there, so they are very well informed of what the plans the hospital has? Or do you just expect that somebody would walk in and tell them, and then of course then you find yourself having to explain yourself based on how someone interpreted what you meant to pass along?
Well, thank you for that question. The issue of communication, we do have systems of communication, and even the best of us many times need to keep looking at how to improve our communication. And that's, that's an assignment that everyone has, and our institution, also. But having said that, we have levels of communication. We have a head of department, we have unit heads, and all this information, people are on top of it. The fact that at times people do miscommunicate, and that could happen, is always there, and people must take responsibility. And as a management, that's it. Yes, the CMAC takes full responsibility, and the office of the CMAC, that yes, probably that little piece was something that we could, want to think about how we could, improve upon it. But the fact is that immediately communication response was given, and it was sorted.
Right.
But the corollary is the case where you find that a person, a Nigerian, chooses to not confirm information properly and then miscommunicates to the rest of the country. And it's very unfortunate because there are many people who need our services, and essentially get discouraged when you have this kind of news going around. It may interest you to also know that this particular person that made that video had their child looked after for 24 days in that hospital and discharged safely home. That did not go viral. We have neonatologists who keep doing extremely amazing work. That is what should go viral. We have so many other, positive stories. Yes, negative stories are part of the mix, and things do happen, but distortion of facts is absolutely unacceptable, and it's wrong in all ramifications.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oshodi, for sharing your view on this, because the truth is that that video did go viral, and Nigerians were really worried about that. But thank you for helping us understand better what happened, because we've been to LUTH, we were there, we went around, they took us around some time ago recently, and we saw the facility, to the oncology ward. Don't know, we actually, maternity.
Pediatric oncology ward.
Yes, so we went around, so we understand they have quite a bit of work to be done, especially they might need help also with additional facility support in any way they can. But thank you very much, Dr. Oshodi, for shedding light on that for us. Let's go on a break now. When we come back, we move on to HIV. Stay with us, we'll be right back.